This is Cindy Faye Solomon, delighted to be with you. Today we're starting a new series. Thank you to the AI PMM. I daily look at different software solutions and new products for product managers. And we're all very busy, and I've for a long time talked about doing a series where we review software product solutions and save time by actually getting demos of those solutions, but from a product management point of view. So I'm delighted today to have Contondo sponsor this event. They have a sales enablement solution that is very exciting to me. And so we're going to talk about how new sales enablement tactics will speed up enterprise product sales. This is part of the AI PMM Friday webinar series. You can find out more about AI PMM at www.aipmm.com. It is the Association of International Product Marketing and Management, founded in 1998. They are the only worldwide certifying body of product professionals, providing education, trainings, networking opportunities, and certifications. I myself hold the Certified Product Manager and the Certified Product Marketing Manager. I have also sat through the trainings for the Certified Innovation Leader and the Agile Certified Product Manager. These are excellent trainings. Definitely find out more about them and by going to the AI PMM, and the links will be here. As well as there's trainings coming up. If you are tweeting today, the hashtag to use is #AIPMM, #ProdBoc. The ProdBoc is the Product Management and Marketing Body of Knowledge, which was published by the AI PMM, and the standard hashtag for product management events on Twitter is #PRODMGMT. Please follow the AI PMM. They post job positions through their Twitter feed. Also follow me at Prod Management Talk, PRODMGMTTALK. Where that feed goes in waves on Wednesdays during the Global Product Management Talk and when I'm covering product events. And our sponsors today, Contondo. Follow them at Contondo Media. So today's participants will get access, and this is early access, to a free download of the brand new 2014 white paper, Sales Enablement Tactics for Product Managers and Product Marketing Managers. So stay on for the Q&A when the information for how to get that download will be made available. And by the way, please use the questions box throughout. And thanks for being here. And I will answer your individual questions, as well as I'll read your questions to our presenters where appropriate. There will also be opportunities for you to interact with the polls. And but feel free to list your questions. If it's appropriate, I might interrupt them. Otherwise, I will totally bring it up during the Q&A. So I'm Cindy Faye Solomon. I founded the Startup Product Academy, and I host the Global Product Management Talk. And I'm delighted to introduce to you our speakers, who are the co-founders of Contondo.com. Asaf Litay, and I apologize for mispronouncing your name, Asaf. He's a seasoned entrepreneur. He has over 20 years' experience defining, developing, and selling various B2B products to mid and large-scale enterprises globally. His previous company, Port Authority, was acquired by WebSense, where he served as vice president of strategic accounts. And Aviv Ben-Ziv has over 15 years' experience at large global high-tech companies in roles including engineering, sales, and sales management. And before co-founding Contondo, he was vice president of sales in Europe for Orkut. So, and let me just tell you briefly a bit about Contondo, and also let me preface this by saying I invited Contondo to do this presentation, and it's not meant to be they were really concerned that they didn't want to be too salesy. And for me, reviewing lots of software packages and daily looking at new solutions, I've encouraged them to tell us about their product. So if you have any issues, and I apologize to the AIPMM who is sponsoring this event as well, please do not misconstrue that this is by any means meant to be, what's the word? I want to give you a disclaimer that this is my personal suggestion. I'm excited about this package. For me, it solves a lot of problems that I had managing huge sales organizations. But this is not an endorsement by the AIPMM. So Contondo was founded by a team of product managers and sales executives who realized that many of their product failures could have been avoided. Product launch failure is a slippery slope. Even a well-designed product that was an easy sell to the first reference customer may get to be ignored by sales teams in a vicious cycle until everyone assumes it is a bad product. At Contondo, they believe that this could be avoided for most well-thought-out products. So they help product managers and product marketing managers create initial momentum for their products by providing an improved, more immediate access to the field teams selling the products. And certainly their perspective is from an enterprise sales perspective. But I also feel that their product is valuable because it's mobile and it's cross-platform for managing all kinds of product portfolios. So, and again, thank you for using the questions box, and feel free to send me whatever messages or concerns you have. And thanks for the feedback. I'm glad we got the technology worked out. So, and with that, I would like to invite Aviv and Asaf to take it away.
Hi, thank you, Cindy. Can you hear me all right? Can everybody hear me all right?
Sounds good to me.
It's great to be here. And I would like to state that what we're going to say here and what we're going to demo is not just relevant to the Contondo platform, but it's actually more generalized and can help PM, and hopefully the insights can help PMM and PMMs, whatever systems and whatever technologies, if they choose to use the technology or not, and use it. So what we're going to talk about is basically sales enablement tactics for PM and PMMs. And we're going to start by illustrating the problem using an imaginary scenario. We're going to review the keys to early sales enablement. And this is early sales enablement because it's a new product or a new feature. We're going to review 5 common traps that happen during early sales enablements and how to avoid them. And we're going to finish with a summary and a Q&A session. So let's get started. So let's look at Mike. Mike here is a PM that was basically doing his job right. He was getting ready to launch a new product. He worked with PMM, developed stellar messaging, and executed against a go-to-market strategy that had all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted, created presentations, product sheets, updated all of the portals, worked on all the enablement processes and so forth. And at the end, crunching the numbers 6 months after the introduction, he realized that out of 30 sales teams, only 12 were consistently delivering sales of his products. So our first poll, Mike the PM is asking us, like, looking back, what could I have done differently to improve the sale of my product? What could I have done differently during the introduction of that product? So, Cindy?
I am launching the first poll. And the poll should be open and ready for voters. And you'll have to think of the Jeopardy music in your head. There it goes. Okay, so the votes are coming in. 39% have voted, 61%. Okay, I'm waiting for everyone to vote. 65%. We'll give it a couple more minutes before we lock it down. Going once. Up. There's still a few more votes coming in. Okay. And we're almost at 100% votes. One more second and I'm going to close the polls. Okay, I'm closing the polls. And I'm going to share the results. And I'm not sure if you can see it, so I'll read to you. The answers were number 1. Let's see, I'll read it in order of the most popular. So number 4, improve the sales enablement process was the most popular answer, that what Mike could have done differently. Next was he could have talked to customers more. Next, with 11% was no, he should fire the bad salespeople. And these were both equally 5%. He could have done better outbound marketing, or he could have given bigger discounts. So the most
these are excellent.
Yeah.
So these are excellent results. I think that sales enablement is, when you look at 12 out of 30 sales teams, it definitely means that he probably designed a good product that has a market. And because of that, when you think about the fact that only 12 sales teams are actually selling the product, he's losing out on a lot of opportunity for his product. What he can do now is basically talking to customers more. Going out and actually doing product pitches is something that's not highly recommended, because product managers have to design their next products and working on advanced features for the products. And firing the bad sales teams, if you have sales teams that don't have basically the confidence to sell the product, that's at the end maybe something you have to do. So thank you for that.
I want to make a distinction, though, because as a product marketing professional, talking to customers and doing customer development is key. But the distinction here is, this was talking to customers more in the sales process. And that's...
Now, this is 6 months after, right? So during that time, he should be talking to customers about the next product, about requirements, additional requirements for the product, and so forth.
Great.
So,
okay, so go ahead.
So let's review the keys to early sales enablement. The definition that everybody knows is basically the IDC, which basically talks about getting the right information to the right person at the right time. And sales enablement is usually on most go-to-market timelines, especially for B2B products, but also for other products. I've not found any sales enablement, any go-to-market packet that didn't have sales enablement as a part of it. And the key distinction I'd like to make from standard sales enablement, which is about enabling the product sales, is that for early sales enablement, it's really critical to avoid the traps that poison sales motivation. So really to not allow sales to fail in the initial sales engagements. If they fail, then basically sales motivation starts decreasing, their confidence in the product decreases, and those teams, or those 18 teams for Mike, will stop selling the new product. So let's review the 5 or 5 common traps that take place during early sales enablement. And the first, and I think the main reason for problems in early sales enablement are assumptions. We make assumptions during the MRD process, the PRD process. We make processes when we make decisions about, during R&D, which features to include, which features to omit, and so forth. As well as we make assumptions during our marketing campaigns. And the main issue is that sales teams can't differentiate a proven fact from an assumption that we put in a messaging statement or in a product sheet and so forth. And misleading assumptions can kill a sales process. A salesperson who's using a misleading assumption as a proven fact is likely to blow up on that sales engagement. The second trap is customer qualifiers or customer qualification. In our experience working at different companies, as products mature, as product sales cycles mature, so do the customer qualification criteria. And usually it should have actually been the opposite. It should behave more like a startup that has a bowling alley type of increasing the breadth of the customer targeting lists. And what happens when you don't have customer qualifiers in the beginning, or really rigorous customer qualifiers, is that sales will take more of a shotgun approach, which of course means that a lot of opportunities are unqualified. And again, a sales team that is trying a couple of opportunities and fails will not try again due to the high opportunity cost involved in missing sales quota. Trap number 3 is using canned messages. Now, when we have a new product, we don't actually know what works in the field and what doesn't. For many different reasons. We know we do persona studies, we try to segment the market and so forth, but at the end of the day, the exact message that would resonate with customers is unclear. Also, sometimes the messages that we put out might not be used appropriately by sales and buyer or understood by buyers because they're not in the lingo that they're used to. And for many teams, just saying a message is not the same as delivering a value. So when they use the canned message, they're not always certain about what the value is that the buyer will receive. Trap number 4 is mismanagement of referential and competitive data. Now, marketing will always tell us how difficult it is to collect, classify, and redistribute referential information. We tend to hound the sales teams, asking them for references and so forth. This actually is even more important in early sales process because it's not just that you need a reference to actually put on a website or a reference to use in a use case, but it's really about using anecdotal evidence to create confidence across different sales teams. And the same is true about competitive situations. So how quickly can the rest of the team learn from your experience winning competitive situations? So again, we have Mike here, and Mike is polling us again. And Mike is asking, what are the best tools to manage referential and competitive data for new product and feature introduction? So, Cindy?
And the poll is open. Ready for voting. Couple of minutes. Has everyone voted that wants to vote? Okay. And the results are 53% say number 5, none of these tools are effective for this purpose. 27% say portals. 33%, sorry, I read that in the wrong. So the next one after none of these would be a CRM. And then after that, so CRM is 33%, portals 27%, phone calls 20%, and only 7% say email.
So those are excellent, interesting results. Actually, in my experience, most of the referential and competitive data that we were handling got delivered via email, and that didn't work very well. CRM is a great tool to figure out who sold what at which customer, and then trying to figure out whether we can call them and use phone calls to actually get the information from the customers. Portals are nice. We insert a lot of information into portals. The problem is teams don't usually go to the portal because it's difficult to access. It's for many different reasons. It's not updated frequently enough to make it valuable for them. And at the end of the day, none of the tools that exist today are actually very useful for this purpose. So now let's get to trap number 5. Wait. And trap number 5 is collateral dependence. Now, collateral works very, very well for established products, for legacy products, but inserting all of the information that we talked about earlier, that is based on assumptions, based on canned messages, that does not have sufficient amount of qualification in it, basically takes and freezes that know-how in a PDF format. And so what that ends up is misleading assumptions become pervasive, information explosion due to the amount of updates, and very important is messaging consistency, because there's a lot of updates. Some teams use different versions of the documentation and the messaging. What ends up happening is collateral serves as a crutch, doesn't help the sales team sell, at which point they become discouraged. So let's recap the list of traps. So assumptions, we have to make sure that we track and we make sure that sales does not stumble on assumptions. Trap number 2, we have to help sales qualify customers, even at the risk of losing some potential opportunities. We have to make sure that they don't fail in their initial sales attempts. We're going to have to use canned messages, but let's make certain that it's as little as possible. And once we start getting feedback from the field, have those messages updated. Get as many anecdotal pieces of evidence as you can, both for competition and both for references. So understanding how the customers are using the product and making it available for all the teams is critical. And trap number 5, avoid the collateral dependence at this stage of the game. And now what I'm going to do is transfer this to Aviv, who will walk us through a couple of demos.
Thank you, Asaf. Basically, what I would like to do now is to go over some of the some proposals, some suggestions, some tips for avoiding the early sales enablement traps, that this is all based on our experience and our customers' experience, and I'm going to demonstrate that using our Contondo system. which is the knowledge management system designed, tailored for PMs and PMMs. So just diving in there, what you're seeing now is the main screen of the Contondo platform, and on both sides of this mobile device, you see our proposals, our tips. So I guess the first thing is the fact that it's a mobile device. You know, we're all PMs and PMMs, and the people out there in the field are sales engineers, and they need to be mobile. So for sure, your knowledge management system has to be both mobile and offline, and work offline, in order for your sales team and your sales engineers team to really use this device. The second tip is really that it has to be sales and SE friendly user experience, because we all know that the guys out there in the field have very little patience for logging through a lot of VPNs and clicking through a lot of clicks to get their information. So we need to make that a very, very smooth process. In addition to that, the knowledge portal should be set up like Sales and SE think. And the interesting fact is that sales and sales engineers think in terms of opportunity scenarios or sales scenarios. They do not think in terms of search queries and search terms and search words. So as far as possible, your knowledge management system should be set up by means where the sales engineer basically selects their target market, their product, their competition, some customer requirements, and then receives their information instantly. So in this result, let's assume that a sales engineer selects a product. So he would then select one or two or three products that he would like to receive instant information about. Followed by this, he will continue to select the target market and customer requirements and so on and so forth. And then, without further ado, he will just press the big go button at the end, at the bottom of the screen. This will lead him, should lead him within seconds to getting the information. Now, looking at this information screen, what you're seeing is all the information concised in what we call title view. Title view, as opposed to content view or full view, does allow people in the field to get as much information as possible in the form of headlines. But we will review content view and full view a little bit further. Right now, we're looking at title view, and I guess the two main takeaways from this view of the system is that, first of all, the data should be sorted based on the relevancy to the scenario. So if the sales engineer basically entered their sales scenario, then all the data should be sorted based on that relevancy to that scenario. The second proposal is that the system should recommend additional helpful data. Now, this is important because, as we remember, we're talking about a new product or a new feature. The reality is that a lot of the information is not there yet. We haven't thought about it yet. We haven't created it yet. As far as possible, your knowledge management system should automatically propose information relevant to a specific sales scenario, even if exact match does not exist. And in this example, that's the difference between the green relevancy bars and the yellow relevancy bars. Now, how do we handle assumptions? Let's go through the traps one by one and see how we can solve these, how we can diminish the outcome of these traps. So the first trap was handling assumptions, and in this case, this is one of our customers, and the nice-looking guy over there with the red tie is the product manager. Now, he took care within the system to clearly mark what bytes of information are assumptions and which are not. So that, to the sales guy in the field and the sales engineer guy in the field, is crucial. So that means they know in advance when they are looking at an assumption. We do want to solicit their comments on that assumption. So as far as possible, your knowledge management system should enable at least two actions. The first is the vote helpful, or some kind of voting associated with this assumption. So in this case, you see the vote helpful button. So if we see sales engineers and salespeople voting helpful to a piece of information, we definitely know that this assumption is now being checked. In addition, a lot of the information is wiki-based, allowing the sales engineers to edit this information by themselves in the field from within customer conversations, and basically correcting any mistakes. The second trap we mentioned was customer qualifications. Interestingly enough, qualification is not only which product to approach, which customer to approach, but I think even more importantly, in the beginning of a product's life, it is saying what opportunity not to pursue, which customer not to approach. A lot of the time, this information comes from the field itself, from the sales engineers. And in this example, we see one of the sales engineers basically clearly marked qualification on this bit of information. And that basically means creating customer qualifiers that minimize opportunity cost, basically wasting a lot of time and resources on an opportunity that should never have been approached. Drilling down to the full view of the post, we see it's a sales engineer, and one of the many things that a knowledge management system can do to basically encourage participation from the field is gamification. So we do see, for example, vote trophies and badges in this system to encourage them to contribute. In addition, remember that sales engineers are our best representatives out there in the field. So one of the very good and easy ways to integrate the knowledge management system is to integrate it with their own mailing list. So this particular piece of information basically was automatically imported from the sales engineering mailing list, so as not to lose any vital information that's floating out there within the emails. Now, the next trap we mentioned was managing references and CI. So we want to get that information from the field. We want to get referential anecdotes and competitive information from the field. So again, the first step is that the knowledge management system has to be as easy as 1, 2, 3 for the sales engineer and the sales guy to post and give us some feedback. So in our case, it's just the big post button at the top, which leads naturally to the post page. As the sales engineer writes just a juicy piece of competitive data, the system, as much as possible, should automatically catalog this information according to scenario relevancy, in this case, competitive information. And once the sales engineer just writes down what he saw about the competition and just presses the post button, the system should share this instantly with all the different teams, so that people do not reinvent the wheels again and again. And if one team learned some competitive information or some referential anecdote in one part of the world, other teams learn about this instantly. So I would like to just summarize. We saw some proposals, some tips about dealing with the 5 traps of early product sales enablement. And I will just to recap on that and basically the rest of the presentation. The first, I think, key takeaway is that early sales success is critical for sales motivation. I mean, it's one thing to fail in one or two opportunities after 50 wins, but of course, it's a different thing altogether to fail in the first or second attempts to sell a product. So we try to avoid deal loss by insisting on proper qualification. And we have to mark all unproven assumptions as such and to use tools that let the field corroborate these assumptions. The second takeaway is that sales engineers are our main representatives. So we need to keep on top of their requests for material. And as far as possible, our systems should automatically notify us when they are not receiving the information they ask for. The system should really redistribute the referential CI instantly so that all the teams are learning from each other. The last takeaway is that instead of just producing collateral, let us all focus on tailored messaging. So we have to always hone our CAN messaging in a continuous effort together with the field. And I would like to always recommend to think small site scenario relevant messaging that's out there in the pockets, in the mobile devices of our sales and sales engineers people. So that concludes this part of the presentation. Cindy, with your permission, I think we can move on to questions and answers.
Have a little technical issue. I hope everyone's been seeing the slides. So John just told me that he stopped seeing the slides after the polling. So maybe, John, if you refresh your screen, it will bring it back in, or look for the GoToWebinar logo on your desktop and click on that to see if that'll open up. Okay, so there's been several questions coming in. One is, how is the product deployed? Is it integrated into Salesforce.com?
Absolutely. The product is integrated into Salesforce, into email, just as we've shown. You can get information from Salesforce, and you can also view the information within Salesforce. So absolutely. The deployment of the product, it's software as a service or cloud-based service. So there really is not a lot of deployment required.
And you were showing those screenshots were of a tablet or an iPhone?
We were showing that was an iPad. So that was a tablet, basically.
Great. You can tell I'm Android-based. So how does it compare to other packages available? And so from my limited viewpoint, when looking at sales tools and enablement, I've seen them try to solve a lot of problems, but not doing it well.
Okay, so we're trying to solve, I would say, technically we're trying to solve one major problem that's inherent in most of the systems that we've seen. And our experience, all the founders, as well as our advisors and so forth, all got to the same problem point, which is the way we manage information as product managers, as training, as product trainers, as sales enablement and so forth, really talks about, getting the information somewhere, and then at that point the salesperson should learn our nomenclature, learn our terminology, figure out a way to search it and get the information that they need. And what we're trying to do is kind of turn it around without being onerous on the PMs and PMMs. And what that basically means is that the salesperson can basically, salespeople think in terms of scenarios. SEs think in terms of sales scenarios. Sales scenarios is basically answering the question of who am I selling to, what am I selling, who's my competition, and what are the main customer requirements, and then give me the information that's relevant to this. And this specific search, I don't want to create a query. I don't want to learn, SQL or, Google query language and so forth. I just want to go and with big fingers just hit the target market. If it doesn't exist, add it. If the product doesn't exist, add it. If the competitor is not there, that's an omission on the side. As a salesperson, I will add it, at which point the PMs, PMMs, and maybe other teams in different regions will say, I actually encountered this competitor, and it's very easy to beat them because they don't support something, right? They don't support integration, they don't support, and so forth. So really it's about that, the kind of how do we create information, and then how is that information consumed in the field? And that's usually where everything falls apart. Now, does that answer the question, Cindy?
Yeah, so further along this, and I think you were kind of addressing this as well. So, someone who's a product marketing manager and who is responsible for the sales channel and providing the narrative of the product and managing all the documentation totally gets the value of this. But what if they're a product manager? They're not responsible specifically for the sales tools and enablement, but would this be valuable to them where their focus is on the process of designing and crafting the product?
So, absolutely. First of all, when you're a product manager, you really need references, not so much in a sales perspective, but in terms of developing your next product. So, the more you realize how your product is being used, what are the sales scenarios that salespeople are encountering, the easier it is for you to say, well, I need to be talking to a financial industry. I need to be talking to somebody in healthcare. I need to be talking to somebody. These are the types of customers, not just in terms of what's in the CRM, but these are the type of scenarios that the salespeople are encountering. And to an extent, also understanding how the messaging gets changed over time, how the messaging basically reflects the current zeitgeist, the current nomenclature, really helps the PM understand where he should take the product, where he should take the features. Now, additionally, we also have other features which we have not shown here, which are polling kind of functionality, which basically allows a PM to go and sell and try out, different hypotheses or different assumptions. That's the proper word. Different assumptions on the sales teams and the SCs. Now, in terms of also channels, we do have quite a few customers who are actually using this also for enabling the channels, again, especially for early products and early customers.
So regarding solving the issue of qualifying, does a tool actually enable the ability to qualify, or is that qualification done outside the tool and the results of that information put in the tool? Or is it done, so the question is, or is the qualification done elsewhere and only displayed in this application via integration?
So qualification, we're not talking specifically about qualification style, what you would do in Salesforce or in the CRM. We're talking more about the specific qualifiers, that what works and what doesn't work. So where to pitch, where not to pitch. If you have one sales team who's trying to sell to a healthcare and he stumbles because your new product does not support HIPAA requirements, then you want that qualifier to go out as quickly as possible and say, guys, we have a problem with healthcare. Any other sales teams that are approaching this, put it out there first, so that they don't end up missing their quotas and so forth, and associating that with the product, right? It might be that the next version of the product you'll have that those requirements, you'll address those requirements, at which point that specific qualifier should be removed.
Great. So you haven't really talked about a sales playbook, and that's not really something that product managers, I think, are concerned with, but certainly sales engineers and people who are out in the field, deal with sales playbooks. So could you actually explain to us what a sales playbook is and how it factors into this process and the product?
So a sales playbook is basically takes all of the at first at least all of the assumptions, everything that you know about the specific market, everything that you know about the product, and creates a sort of this is how we're going to approach the market, this is the type of customers that we're looking, the market segmentation and so forth, and then this is what, as a salesperson, this is what you're going to do. These are the slideware. This is how you run sales ops, how do you get the product out, how do you do delivery of the product and so forth, provisioning and things of that sort. So all of that gets into either a big document or in a series of PDFs or so forth, or tabs of Salesforce. And the problem with that is that it encapsulates everything, at first at least, it encapsulates everything that we talked about. So insufficient number of qualifiers and not up to date, a lot of assumptions that are included there, all of the canned messages and so forth. And we have to be cognizant of that and understand that we don't want to go out there and actually build too much of this collateral. If you look, a lot of online products don't even have a user manual because they're so much in a state of flux that they don't really have a user manual, let alone a playbook.
I can also expand on that, Cindy. Basically, sales book are a great tool once you have a sales cycle that is proven, that has been proven to be replicable. So once the product is well into the later stages of sales, once the questions have been answered, and again, the sales process is replicable, then by all means, a playbook is a great tool. What we fear, and let's say in our experience, using a sales playbook in the early stages of product and new feature introduction could actually work to our disadvantage. It's like spreading the gospel, and we know there are a lot of assumptions and incorrections and errors.
Is wrong in this case.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I guess the bigger difference.
Great. So a specific feature question. When you were showing the screenshots, they saw the edit button. And so the question is, can anyone edit any piece of information?
So the answer to that is it really depends. We developed this product with more of a democratic kind of notion, which is, the field teams know as much and sometimes even a little bit more about how the field is reacting to specific messaging. So in that sort of approach, everybody can edit everything. But there is a permission-based engine in the system that enables you to lock down either specific messages, some messages, or the entire thing, and just make sure that messages stay stationary, of course, at which point you lose some of that feedback capability.
Great. So we're definitely getting some other noise here, but the product ultimately reduces the barriers between the customers and the product creators, which is a great thing. But those barriers also act as filters. There are often more feature requests than the ability to create those features. So how does the product address this issue?
So, one of the things. Hello, can you hear me?
Great.
Yeah. So one of the things that having managed, apart from products, also SEs and so forth, is it's kind of sweeping the discussion under the rug, right? So SEs and salespeople communicate. SEs communicate among themselves on they're typically on their mailing lists. And when a product is missing a feature, don't assume for a second that SEs are not among themselves talking about that and trying to work out, workarounds and so forth. Now, one of the things that some of our customers are doing are separating, some of the SE discussions from some of the sales discussions, and that is to prevent the highly technical SE discussion from affecting sales motivation. But other than that, if a product is missing a feature, I can, I'll bet that every SE knows about that. They talk about that, and either you can participate in that discussion and create workarounds, either positioning workarounds or technical workarounds. Accept the fact that the feature is missing, or just in the portal, we're not discussing it because it's a missing feature, and we're avoiding that discussion. And meanwhile, in the SE mailing list, everybody's complaining and saying that the product is difficult to sell because the product is missing a feature. So, we like putting the cards on the table, but again, you have the ability to use permissions to prevent that from happening. But if it doesn't happen here, it'll happen somewhere else.
Product does give you the ability to track all of the discussions around those issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely, about those specific feature requests, markets, right? If I'm trying to sell, again, I'm trying to sell to healthcare, and I don't have support for some of the requirements under HIPAA, or if I'm trying to sell to a bank and don't have SAS 70 and so forth, then, not talking about it is good. And ensure that some of the sales teams are going to approach a bank or approach a healthcare, and they're going to run into that objection. And once they run into that objection and their opportunity, doesn't happen, the sales doesn't complete successfully, you now damage their motivation to try to sell that product again. So
great. So if you have further questions, please get in touch directly with Asaf and Aviv. Go to Contondo.com. We're coming to the end of the hour, and we want to give you some more information about upcoming events and to get the white paper download. Thank you, Asaf and Aviv. And
thank you very much, Cindy.
Thank you for everyone's participation.
Thank you, everyone.
I'm waiting for the slide that shows the white paper information, or what the next slide is. Okay, here it is. So if you'd like to download the white paper, we're getting early access to the sales enablement tactics for product managers. Go to startupproduct.com/Contondo, Contondo. It will ask for your email, and then it will send you a email giving you the link to download your unique white paper. And thank you again to Contondo. Thank you to the AI PMM. There are some trainings coming up for AI PMM certifications. And here we go. In Athens, Greece, and Belgrade, Serbia, certified product manager, as well as a certified product marketing manager in Athens, Greece. So AIPMM is truly an international organization. You can follow the links that will work. These slides will be available on the AIPMM site, as well as the replay will be available at startupproduct.com. And there are some more trainings coming up. In Belgrade, Serbia, the Certified Innovation Training, as well as locally in Seattle, Washington in May, the CPM, Certification Prep Course and Exam. Those are in-person trainings. The CPMM and the ACPM, that's Certified Product Manager, Certified Product Marketing Manager, and the Agile Certified Product Manager. For more information, contact HM Del Castillo at AIPMM.com to register. And join the AIPMM webinar series when it comes back to the regular thought leader format next week for Innovate for Growth and Price for Profits. The following week, 9 things exceptional product team managers do. And the end of the month, improve product design through gamification. You can follow the AIPMM webinar series on their website under webinars and join in, follow the blogtalkradio.com/PRODMGMTTALK to join me discussing with thought leaders about various issues having to do with managing products to success, product excellence, innovation, marketing, etc. Global Product Management Talk. Follow these links to if you'd like to be a speaker and to follow company updates and subscribe to the AIPMM newsletter. And thank you again for joining us today. Thank you to Contondo, and we look forward to continuing the conversation offline. Have a great week.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you. And thank you, BZ Lewis, and blame Sally for the music.
I took up breathing this morning. It hurts, but still at least there's pain. My feet were flying off the pavement. I turned down Fillmore Street again. I think I'm on to something, baby. You can't tell me I'm not changed. The woolen blankets won't console me. I turned down Fillmore Street.